Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Stock markets gain for the second day. The Sensex up over 1,400 points and Nifty reclaims 24,000. But the rupee continues to weaken against the dollar, ending at a record low again. At least 15 people are killed and 30 injured after a pickup plows through a crowd of New Year revelers in New York. FBI is probing terror links, identifies the attacker who was shot and killed as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S. citizen who served in the U.S. Army and worked at Accenture, EY and Deloitte. A Tesla Cybertruck explodes outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, killing the driver and injuring 7 others. Authorities say they found gas canisters, camp fuel canisters and large firework mortars in the back of the truck. The FBI is probing whether the incident was a terror attack. At least 11 people killed in Gaza after Israeli strikes target a so-called safe zone. The flooding situation has worsened even as people struggle with the drop in temperatures. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu says no action will be taken against the Adani Group over US allegations of bribery without concrete proof. This comes 5 weeks after Naidu said the charges have been damaging to brand Andhra Pradesh and promised action. The Heavy Industry Ministry says Tata Motors and M&M will receive 246 crore rupees cumulatively under the Auto PLI scheme for the last fiscal. Say the first tranche of disbursements will take place this quarter. The scheme has led to investments worth 20,715 crores and incremental sales of over 10,400 crores so far. The Supreme Court pulls up the Punjab government as farmer leader Dalewal's hunger strike enters day 38. The court observes state government appears to be acting to ensure there is no reconciliation. Also adds that Dalewal is free to continue his protest and the court is only concerned about his health and medical condition. India experiences its warmest year since comprehensive data collection began in 1901, surpasses 2016, which had held the record so far. The average minimum temperature last year was up 0.9 degrees Celsius above the long period average. Well, let's start with the market action. The Lal Street extending gains for the second day in a row. The Nifty and the Sensex added and gained nearly 2%, with the Nifty reclaiming 24,200. So up 445 points. For the Nifty, the Sensex added 14,036. Nifty IT was up by about 978 points, and the mid-cap index didn't do badly, higher by about 1%. So that was the market action for you. Nigel is standing by now to wrap up the momentum. Nigel, bulls in control today.
Well, what a bazooka start for the Nifty to 2025. Yesterday, you had a bit of an up move, and today, you had a big bazooka move that we saw on the Nifty. The Nifty Bank, well, that's the one that came to the party midway through the trading session, and that's the one that gave it that additional booster shot, because the Nifty was hovering around that 24,000 odd mark in today. But at around noon, we did take that off, and from there on, there was no looking back. The key reasons for today's bounce, well, you had the Nifty weekly expiry that played out, so some of those call writers, they got stuck on the wrong side. The FI short positions are at multi-month highs, so there could be a case of strong short covering that took place. And participation relatively lower. We'll get a better trend once we do see, all the participation come back early next week. Auto stocks, well, they took the monthly updates with very positive view. All the stocks did well. Aichi Motors is one of the biggest gainers. You had Maruti Suzuki as well. The commentary from the management was good. And Ashok Leyland as well. So various parts of the auto segment itself did do well. And Bajaj Auto, one would think that the domestic sales numbers for the past month were lower, but the management said, well, it's a December phenomena, or it's a seasonal factor that played out, and they said otherwise all is well. The other big gainers that on the Nifty were the Bajaj twins, that's Finance as well as Finserv, as well as Shriram Finance. All of them put on weight of more than 3 to around 5%. NBFC as well, there was a restriction that was coming to play in early January. Well, that's been pushed by a quarter or so, and that's why we did see some of them that did do well. Whether it was Mahindra & Mahindra Financial Services, you had Chola, L&T Finance, all of them did well. So it's a good start to 2025. However, the better trend will emerge early next week. The Nifty conquered the 20 DMA. The Nifty Bank needs to get past the 20 DMA to build onto this rally.
Nigel, many thanks. That's the stock market action. But in the money market, the rupee ended at a record low. Once again, the rupee weakened by 10 paise against the greenback as the dollar index continues to strengthen. So the rupee finally closing at 85.75 to the dollar. That's the bond market action for you. And, of course, India's 10-year sovereign bond yields declined in trade, leading to a spike in yields. Now, India's manufacturing output has slipped to a one-year low for the month of December. The HSBC India Purchasing Managers Index for December came in at 56.4 versus 56.5. That was the reading for November. This was largely due to softer increase in output and a slow pace of growth in new orders. However, the December reading is still above the long-run average of 54.1, which indicates a robust rate of growth. Now, China's factory activity grew in December, but at a slower pace than expected. On par with a private sector survey compiled by S&P, overall sales dampened by falling export orders on concerns over the trade outlook. Manufacturing PMI came in at 50.5 in December versus 51.5 in the previous month, remaining in the expansion territory. However, the rate of output expansion has eased to a 3-month low. The data has reinforced the call for additional stimulus measures to boost the Chinese economy. Now, India's goods and service tax collection has hit a 3-month low in December. However, the mop-up was 7.3% higher when compared to December of 2023. Timsy standing by now to analyse the GST trends for us. Timsy, higher year-on-year but a decline month-on-month.
The GST collections for the month of December are a little disappointing. While gross collections came in at 7.26% higher year-on-year at 1.76 lakh crore rupees, it's still the lowest collection in 3 months. Month-on-month, collections are down nearly 3%, and that's something that could worry the government. After adjusting the refunds, net GST collections are at 1.54 lakh crore rupees, which is just 3.3% higher than a year ago. Experts we spoke to indicate that these numbers, coming as they do just a month before the union budget, are likely to have an impact on budget targets as well. Remember, the government has penciled in a collection of 9.1 lakh crore rupees in CGST for this year, which is a growth rate of 11%. But total CGST collections between April and December stand at just a little over 3 lakh crore rupees. So there's still a long way to go. The GST numbers also reinforce the argument that urban consumption is slowing down. If one looks at cess numbers, which is applicable only on select items like carbonated drinks, tobacco products and cars, one can see that cess collections in December are down 7% from November and flat against a year ago. So unless collections see a major jump in the remaining 3 months of the fiscal year, the government may well have to revise the GST collections growth target below 11%. One static that could give some comfort is the gross GST collections between April and December, which stand at above 16 lakh crore rupees, which is over 9% higher than a year ago. So at least there is a chance the full year collections will be higher than the last year, even if not by much. Let's see what happens finally when government presents its union budget, and yes, how the remaining 3 months be. Back to you.
All right, Timsy, many thanks for joining us. Now, the government has constituted a working group to revise the base year for the current series of wholesale price index. The base year will be changed from the current year of 2011-2012 to 22-23. The working group will be headed by Niti Aayog member Ramesh Chand. The government has launched the Auto PLI scheme in 2021, and the first installment of incentive disbursements under the scheme is anticipated to come through in the 4th quarter of FY25. Claims approved for Tata Motors and M&M come to a total of 246 crore rupees. Parikshit is standing by now with more details. Parikshit, take us through the investments made in FY24 and the claims approved so far.
Well, there were a total of 85 companies across vehicle OEMs and the auto component sector which had qualified for the Auto PLI scheme. But very few have actually come forward to submit their claims for incentives. And the government has now been holding meetings to understand why has the takeoff from the industry been slow so far. Now, the reasons are as follows. Some of these companies have not made any electric foray till now. Number two, some don't see the need for additional capacity as has to be done under the scheme. And thirdly, they are not sure if they will be able to achieve the kind of sales numbers which this scheme demands. Having said that, the government still remains confident, according to our sources, that the PLI scheme will achieve its target and the entire allotment under the scheme will be exhausted. But the idea is to have more players in the auto industry take advantage of this. So the first incentive disbursement is going to take place in Q4 of FY25. The total claims of Mahindra Group and Tata Motors amount to 246 crores, and this has now been approved. So it can be disbursed anytime soon. According to the government, the PLI scheme has facilitated investment of 20,715 crores, and they have led to incremental sales of 10,472 crores. Between Mahindra and Tata Group. Mahindra has submitted claims of 104 crore rupees. They have had incremental sales of 800 crores and they've made an investment of 978 crores. For Tata Motors, they've submitted an incentive of 142 crores in FY24 and they've sold 1,380 crore worth of EV products from the Tiago EV, Starbus EV and Ace EV. So these are only vehicles which have so far qualified under the DVA norms. All companies have to make individual claims and individual applications for each product that they have. The minister has said that he's very hopeful that more companies will come forward to submit their applications and make investments and set up more capacity for electric vehicle and component manufacturing. The scheme is operational till FY28 and the incentive disbursement cycle is between FY25 and FY29.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has said no action will be taken against the Adani Group over allegations of bribery without concrete proof. Now, this comes 5 weeks after Naidu had said that charges had been levelled that were damaging to brand Andhra Pradesh and had promised action. Shilpa joins us now with more on the statements coming in from Chandrababu Naidu. Shilpa, the state government seems to be softening its stance on the issue linked to the Adanis.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You know, after weeks of speculation on the current Andhra Pradesh government stance over these bribery allegations on the Adani Group and the YSRCP government, and this is over a 2021 solar power deal, now Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu seems to have decided to wait and watch and not take any immediate action. Now, cancelling the contract with SECI without concrete proof could attract a stiff penalty, is what Naidu has said, and so they want to wait till there is concrete proof to be able to take any action on the former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy and his party. Now, the wait for the outcome of the case is also going on, of the ongoing case in the US as well. Now, Naidu also said that he will not be indulging in any vendetta politics, as this is a question of the credibility of the state government. Now, remember, in November 2024, a US court indicted Gautam Adani and others over allegations of offering bribes to high-ranking officials in 2021 to secure power deals through the Solar Energy Corporation of India. And as per the allegations, Gautam Adani had met a high-ranking official in the Andhra government and, which was then ruled by YSRCP, and allegedly offered a bribe of 1,750 crore rupees to facilitate a power purchase agreement. Now, remember, the US indictment alleged that the total bribes of just over 2,000 crore rupees, a majority of this was allegedly paid to an Andhra official. Now, shortly after this, in December 2021, the Andhra Pradesh government entered into a power supply agreement with the SECI to buy 7,000 megawatts of solar power. SECI had then signed a power purchase agreement for 4,666 megawatts with Adani Green Energy, and 2,333 megawatts with Azure Power. But with Azure Power backing out of the agreement, that capacity was then transferred to Adani Green. Now, this statement from Naidu suggests that the government is taking a step back. And just 2 days after the US indictment on the 22nd of November, Naidu had said that these allegations are damaging to brand Andhra Pradesh, and he had promised strict action back then. Back to you.
All right, Shilpa, many thanks for joining us. Here are the big international stories. Now, at least 15 people were killed and dozens injured after a 42-year-old man drove a pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans early on New Year's Day. The accused Shamsuddin Jabbar got out of the truck and fired bullets at the police. 2 police personnel were injured before he was shot dead. The FBI is investigating whether Jabbar had any links to terrorist groups. Here's a report.
Police say the driver was 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, an army veteran from Texas. Officers said they found an ISIS flag in the vehicle. Jabbar was said to be in full military gear, subsequently got in a shootout with police and was killed. The incident has prompted an investigation into possible links to terrorist organizations. Investigators say they found weapons and potential explosives in the suspect's vehicle. They also say he may not have acted alone. A search is ongoing for his known associates. Public records show Jabbar worked in real estate in Houston. He had spent 10 years in the US military as a human resources and IT specialist and had been deployed to Afghanistan. US President Joe Biden condemned the attack in a media briefing and revealed more details about Jabbar.
The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
Biden also said investigators were checking for any link to a vehicle explosion outside Trump Tower in Las Vegas, but that no evidence had been found so far. ISIS, also called Islamic State or ISIL, is a Muslim militant group. It once imposed a reign of terror in Iraq and Syria until it collapsed from fighting a US-led coalition. Experts say ISIS has continued to recruit sympathizers online. Following the attack, New Orleans postponed college football's Sugar Bowl, which is played each year on New Year's Day. The city will also be the site of the NFL Super Bowl on February 9th.
A Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump International Hotel in Vegas yesterday, killing the driver and injuring 7 others. Authorities have said that they found gas canisters, camp fuel canisters and large firework mortars in the back of the truck. The FBI is probing whether the incident was an act of terror.
A Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, Wednesday morning. Las Vegas police released this video of the blast, which killed the driver and injured several others. They also released footage that showed the vehicle's interior afterward, which they said showed gas and camp fuel canisters, as well as large firework mortars. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the blast was unrelated to the Cybertruck itself, saying in a post on X, quote, "All vehicle telemetry was positive at the time of the explosion." FBI Special Agent Jeremy Schwartz told reporters on Wednesday that it was not yet clear whether the blast was an act of terrorism.
I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
He added the vehicle had been rented in Colorado and that the FBI had identified the driver, but was not yet ready to publicly name them. The Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas is part of the Trump Organization, the company of President-elect Donald Trump, who will return to the White House later this month. Musk was a key backer of Trump in his 2024 presidential campaign and is also an advisor to the incoming president. The explosion occurred just hours after a man drove a truck into crowds of New Year's Day revelers in New Orleans, killing 15. The FBI said an ISIS flag was attached to a staff protruding from the trailer hitch and that a potential explosive device was found in the rented vehicle. Las Vegas police said both that vehicle and the Cybertruck had been rented through car-sharing service Turo. President Joe Biden on Monday said law enforcement was still investigating whether the Las Vegas explosion and the New Orleans attack were linked.
And in another horrific incident, at least 12 people have been killed in a mass shooting that started at a restaurant in a small town in Montenegro and continued at 3 different locations. Alexander Martinovic, a local man who was suspected of carrying out the shootings, died after he shot himself and succumbed to his injuries while being transported to hospital. The South Korean police have raided Muan International Airport and the office of Jeju Air. Reports have said that the police have banned the airline's chief from leaving the country amidst the investigation. The police have also issued a statement saying that they plan to swiftly and rigorously determine the cause of the country's deadliest aviation accident. We will end to a break, but up next, the Supreme Court pulls up the Punjab government as farmer leader Dhaliwal's hunger strike enters day 38. More on that when we return. More international news. Israeli forces have bombed the humanitarian zone in southern Gaza, killing at least 11 Palestinians. Heavy rains and flooding has worsened the humanitarian crisis in the enclave. The Israeli defense ministers warned Hamas that if it does not stop attacks and release captives held in Gaza, the group will receive blows. From one war-torn region to another, Russia launched a strike on Ukraine on New Year's Day, killing at least 2 people and wounding 6 people. The strike has also damaged 2 buildings in the district. The Ukrainian military has claimed to have shot down 63 Russian drones launched by Russia overnight. Back home, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear a bunch of pleas seeking stricter implementation of the Places of Worship Act on the 17th of February. This also includes one filed by the AIMIM chief and Lok Sabha MP Asauddin Owaisi. The law, which was enacted in 1991, aims to maintain the religious character of a place as it existed on the 15th of August 1947. The court has already heard pleas challenging the validity of the act. And staying with the court action, the Supreme Court has pulled up the Punjab government as farmer leader Dhaliwal's hunger strike enters day 38. The court observed that the state government appears to be acting to ensure that there is no reconciliation. Ashmit joins us now to take us through what transpired in court today and what is expected next. Ashmit.
Well, the Supreme Court has some harsh words for the Punjab government. The Supreme Court, number one, observed that while there seems to have been no breakthrough with the talks, the impression that the Supreme Court has been left with is that the Punjab government officers are working to give the impression to the farmers, to the media, to the public, that the Supreme Court has asked the farmer leaders, especially Jagjit Singh Dhaliwal, to call off the fast. The Supreme Court said that nothing could be further from the truth. The Supreme Court clarified that it's only asking Dhaliwal to get the required medical attention to avoid any untoward incidents, and saying that Dhaliwal is free to continue with his fast. Not just that, the Supreme Court was also critical of how the Punjab government continues to bat for the farmers' interest in terms of asking for some kind of intervention. This would be the third occasion that the Punjab government has made that submission. The Supreme Court said that they've already constituted a committee to resolve some of these issues, which has representations from all stakeholders, and in fact asking the Punjab government if the existence of this committee has even been conveyed to the farmers, and that is what led to that observation by the apex court that it seems that the Punjab government is working to ensure that there is no reconciliation as far as this dispute is concerned. And not just that, the Supreme Court was also critical of how some of the farmer leaders have been making irresponsible statements. The Supreme Court said that that is something that the Supreme Court is taking note of as we speak, even question the intentions of some of these farmer leaders when it comes to Dhaliwal continuing with his fast, putting his health on the line. But the long and short is, time has been granted to Punjab till Monday to work out some form of breakthrough, with a warning. The Supreme Court saying that if Punjab government can't resolve this issue, the Supreme Court will not be shy of walking in.
All right, Ashmit, appreciate you joining us now. 2024 was the warmest year on record in India since 1901, surpassing 2016, which held the record so far. The average minimum temperature last year was up by almost a degree Celsius above the long period average. According to India's Met Department, 2025 is likely to begin with mostly warm days and nights over most parts of the country, and it's linked with a few strong cold wave conditions. Well, that's the weather for you. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Do stay tuned. We're back in a minute with a lot more right here.